How are we going to share the link?
Hold on one second. I'm creating the link now. It's about to be on YouTube. Give me a second. I'll shoot the link over to you.
How are we going to share the link?
Hold on one second. I'm creating the link now. It's about to be. All right. I'm sending you the link, and then you can.
What is it?
It's going to be in Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger? Okay. I mean, I have to get off to see it.
Mm, if you're on your phone, you won't see it.
Okay.
You want me to
So
send it to you?
why don't you just, I'll give you a number can I text you a number that I want you to send it to
Yeah.
quickly? Because this is our subscriber, Kareem. We
Okay.
have we have one subscriber. Wait, hold on. Okay, let me get the number.
One additional subscriber because
Okay.
we've been doing the shows. We've gotten 5 subscribers.
Oh, good.
So
Okay,
we
so
already had 1,200 subscribers.
will we be able to quickly
Yeah.
send it out to them?
Is he on your Facebook?
Wait, no, he's on my contact list. So hold on one second. I'll send
No, you
you.
can't. We're live, so you can't repeat
Oh,
it.
okay.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
just text it.
Just got brother Kareem. We're
Just
on.
text me. Just text me his phone number, and I'll do it.
I don't know it by heart. That's why I have to get off and.
Oh.
Well,
Oh.
just say, brother Kareem, we're on. He might be
Yes.
on.
Brother Kareem, we're on. If you're out there, he should, if he's subscribed and hit the notification bell, he'll get a notification that we're live.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
And I'll keep an eye on the chat just in case he comes through.
Okay.
Yes, so for everyone else out there, peace from the Tonya 23 experience with my co-host Queen Nzinga Alston. How was your day today, Queen?
It was happening, and it was hectic a little, but thank thank God and thank our ancestors that I made it through.
Yes,
So
always.
give thanks.
Definitely. How was the weather in New York today?
It was hot.
Hot?
It was a little cloudy at first. It became very hot. About at the height of like 6 o'clock, it was very hot. The sun was shining out.
Yes. I'm just circulating the link on our social media page right quick. But yes, so have you had a chance to catch up on current affairs in the news and whatnot?
Oh, definitely.
So, go ahead.
It's a lot happening. Well, this month is Black Music Month.
Yes, we have to keep on reminding everyone of that. It's so overshadowed by there's something else going on this month as well.
Right. So many other things. You could mention it.
No, actually, I was just gonna say it's Pride Month along with Black Music Month, and we're not sure how those cables got crossed, but they deserve separate time, I believe.
Exactly, because our struggle is different and unique, and the Black musicians need their month.
Exactly. So, and I've actually haven't heard much in protest about that in particular, but what I did hear about was hip hop's 50th anniversary. There is no #1 album for 2023. Out of all the music, they could not find nothing hit #1, which is very interesting.
Exactly, and also I understand that Snoop Dogg was supposed to be inducted in the what is it, the Rock and Roll, as well as Sade, but they both declined, and they prefer to be inducted next year, 2024.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Right, because
Wow.
they, I don't know if it was because of scheduling, or they just felt that they didn't want to do it this year, that they prefer to do it next year in 2024.
Ah, okay.
But the
Wow,
others are
that's a
going
first.
others are going to be inducted in as well.
Mm. I heard Tupac got a star.
Yes, his sister was there. His
Mm.
sister was the family member who was there to
Okay.
receive the award, and she actually sat there on the star and everything.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, of course, we have current affairs news about what's going on in the cosmos and how mankind has been held back in technology on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 2023 UFO conference that happened,
Yes.
and that's where the whistleblowers came out and gave their testimonies. And
Mm-hmm.
most of them were some pretty high ranking military officials. And what I'm going to be doing is giving a watch party of the actual conference. I have the recording.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 hours long, but a lot of it needs, commentary in between. So I want to give the commentary also. But it's time for people to get up to speed as the world is changing faster than some may have thought. They had been predictions of 2030 and whatnot. But word is communications have been made and there is an agenda. By the end of this year, things have to change for the security of the entire planet. Not under any threat, but a lot of things are going to be revealed because the people are being used like this is serious slavery above all slavery. What is going on right now? You have your individual groups of throughout mankind that have been used as labor, but in the whole big scheme of things, we are all being gravely used. Where I remember being a little girl and I would watch the Jetsons. And this was in like mid 70s. And I would say, oh, I can't wait till the year 2000. Cars are going to be flying and this and that. And it was and we all just knew by the year 2000, we would have advanced technology to where we're all flying around in our own little spaceships. But of course, we're in 2023 and we're still using gas cars and just struggling trying to convert to electric, and electric is expensive and we're still paying for it. We haven't achieved free energy, so they say, but it is, available, and it's being deliberately kept from the world.
Oh yeah. And speaking of that, on that note, um, the so-called powers to be are always messing up the frequencies of nature, trying to monetize everything and make natural resources, control natural resources such as light, gas, um, moonlight, sunlight, rain. And these are natural resources that we have on Earth.
Mm.
And try to monetize these things and make it out of commodities. And it's almost like nature is saying, "Oh, you are not going to do that." And this may be the reason that we're having a lot of tornadoes, and out in, I think it was San Diego, there was spotting of unidentified objects, and so many things are just happening. Gases seeping through the grounds, and you're having hurricanes, tornadoes, um, volcano uh, eruptions, um, water flooding, all kinds of stuff is happening. Um, in Georgia, I seen in Georgia in the South, we had some storms, very bad storms yesterday. And Mississippi was affected, as well as certain places in Georgia. Look
Mhm.
what happened to Buffalo this year with all that snow and
Yeah.
people were killed. So well, in Florida, I think it was Ian that destroyed a lot of homes. So it's like Mother Nature is mad.
Yeah.
It's mad, it's confused.
Rightfully so, It's just like there's a means for curing diseases. Medicine would be at another level. Environmental issues. We got to get this plastic up out of here. And there's a form of clothing now being made. It's been being made for well over 10 years that is not biodegradable. So there's a clothes mound somewhere that is never ending. But it's a lot of the newer clothes elements that they make now. The stretchy clothes. Well,
Yeah.
they're like a permanent fixture of Earth or whatever. As far as they don't break down with fire, anything like that. It's just toxic to even burn. It's like deadly toxins get released in the air when these clothes are burned.
Right. And you know what? Scientifically, matter could be broken down but never destroyed.
Right.
So that's a scientific fact. And why we're having such warming contradictions in terms of weather, like this year, California had snow,
Mm.
while New York, the city, didn't have much snow.
Yeah,
But,
the
you know,
Mississippi almost dried up, or the water. Yeah, it was very record low. The Mississippi River
right.
lost its water, and some desert places. I think it was something like Dubai. They had to create rain clouds because it
Hmm.
was a historic amount of time that they didn't get any rain. So they had these contraptions up there making rain. So we know that they can make weather. And so a lot of these earthquakes and storms are not natural. And so Earth is going to respond to that as well. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, not that I want to change the subject,
No,
but
feel free.
politi- politically, let's talk about 45.
Mm.
Did you see what happened yesterday when he came out the court in Florida? One group was opposed to him, while the other group were his supporters. There were more supporters there
Mm.
than people who were opposed to him.
So yeah, do you want to elaborate a little more for the audience about who you're speaking about?
Well, 45 is the
Oh,
40th president of the United States,
right,
which
right.
Mr. Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And people better not think that he cannot get elected again, because the flavor that's in the air right now, a lot of he has a large following,
Mm-hmm.
as he did before. And the way he organizes is with local people. He's in their streets, so to speak. The other politicians, you're not seeing them visibly enough.
Mm-hmm.
The Republican Party is once again is going to have a lot of people running for president. But even if he's indicted, right now he's indicted of 37 charges for fraud or possible treason against the government,
Espionage, yeah.
and stuff. However, he's still entitled to run. Okay.
Plus, it's a lot of trumped up charges. He had one stack of papers, so there must have been one indictment per page, which is unheard.
Well, he had they showed it. He had what it was. He had classified documents all over his house, over his estate, even in the bathroom. They were showing the um, documents all over his house. which he didn't report at first, and then he was advised by his lawyers to report it. So this is, anyone could get to those documents. He said because he was president, he had a right to take the documents out of the White House.
They all
do it how he want, but there's still rules and regulations for presidents as well. Now, Biden, he had documents found as well, but he turned them over. I think the thing is with Trump, he didn't turn them over right away, nor did he feel that he had to turn them over. But he said that it's a witch hunt against him.
It absolutely is. Because some of those documents that he held pretty much incriminate or prove the criminality of the current president's dealings and workings, because that was 45th's intention, to bring that whole scandal down, but he would have gotten the credit for it under his, presidency. But there's a lot of family information that he had also. In the beginning, there was a missing diary from the current president's daughter, which had a lot of information that if the public heard about it, they wouldn't look at him with the same lens. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, of course not. And not only that, well, one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to argue for Trump or Biden, because
that's facts are facts.
That's European. They need to argue with each other.
Right.
The fact is that our people are still oppressed, and we're still at the bottom no matter what. In fact, we have become obsolete in America. And this was a prediction that we will be obsolete. And at this point, as you see what's going on in New York City and around the country with people who are coming here claiming asylum, is now causing a big conflict, because it's, again, a capitalistic country where you're going to have, of course, they have to have oppressed people. They have to have underemployed of people, and then that's going to pit one group against the other group, where both groups should be fighting, and all groups should be fighting the oppression here in America, okay, on every level. And it goes back to, again, white supremacist ideology, okay? And with Trump, Biden, all of them, they all are part of the white supremacist bureaucracy, I would say.
Right. That is very true. I was also thinking, I had an experience the other day. I had went into Five Guys, and Five Guys is, they're known for their French fries are real potatoes. When you go in, you see all the bags of potatoes lined up all around or whatever. So I had a taste for some real fries. So I go there. Now I walk into the store, and it's completely run, every position, by our Mexican friends, right? But I remember going into the Five Guys when it had the high school teenagers were running it. And of course you had all nationalities, but there were more black kids in there than anything. They had attitudes, the customer service, the place was sloppy looking. It's just a little slothful attitude, and they get the jobs, and they're looking at it like a low-level job, and they just, they on their phones. And when I went in there and the Mexicans were running it, best customer service. They were giving out free peanuts, which I think they all do, but you sit there and you can eat while your food is getting made free. Smiles. The place was clean, and them as fellow employees were very unified. And I caught on and I observed all that, and right away I came up with the assumption. I said, wow, things just went left for the jobs that you have to have people running the companies, and the youth, because these are a lot of times the jobs that they work on while they make their way through school.
Right.
but the attitude. And so what I'm seeing is the people are coming because they want asylum, but they're actually showing grateful. They're coming over here and they running the businesses. They're doing it right. And somebody else better wake up, because you're in competition. The war has begun for your survival out here, because somebody else would gladly walk in your shoes. Now, we say we're the lowest part of society and whatnot, but what I see is individual ambition can take you where you need to be. Now, of course, there's going to be roadblocks, and I do believe that every group runs into their own particular set of roadblocks. But at this point in time in 2023, we have to speed up our consciousness fast. And really, we have a gripe, of course, with the government about the resources that they owe us and whatnot. But we have to work with our people on their mentality, because their very jobs, their liveliness, all of that stuff is at risk and in competition. And we do have what it takes to create wealth for ourselves, you know.
We are the biggest.
A lot of people that aren't worried about what they
Right.
need to know to create wealth. And
Right.
that kind of monkey mind shit got to go.
Well, we are the biggest consumers on this earth.
And that's all we're doing is consuming.
We have to
We
get
have
out
to build.
right. We have to get out of the posture of consuming and buying from everyone, and we have to get back into, which I'm happy that we have to get back into an era of how it was during Reconstruction, where Black people owned their own banks, their own press, their own schools, their own hospitals. I mean, Marcus Garvey, for instance, one of the UNIA, he had the own doll factory. He had nurses, he had doctors, he had skilled workers on every level. And in fact, economical level, that current Wall Street copied off of Marcus Garvey. In 2000, he was named the man of the century because of his genius, despite the fact that they tried to stop him. He had an economic process, an economic system, I would say, an economic system in place with the United Negro Improvement Association. They even had their own legionnaires, their own army. Okay. So when Ethiopia was threatened by the Italians back in the day, if you go look it up, Mussolini and them, his army, UNIA, Black men volunteered to go over to Ethiopia to fight against the Italians. Okay. The Italians then occupied Ethiopia, but if you know your history, my people, Ethiopia was never colonized and it was not taken over. That's the only African country that was not taken over. Okay. And one reason is that they had a strong army back then. And when Mussolini and them wanted to come and take over, the Italians wanted to come take over Ethiopia, the UNIA legionnaires, the army, the Black legionnaires, and many volunteers were willing to go over there and fight that war. Okay. So the Universal Negro Improvement Association, better known as the UNIA, was a very forceful Black organization. And Marcus Garvey definitely had a plan, and he had the doll factories. People, we have to understand that we came from greatness. The blueprint was already laid out for us by our ancestors. All we have to do is study, and we have enough money to build our own institutions, such as hospitals, schools, and toy factories, clothing, definitely. Please, we could design our own clothes, put our own names on it, instead of going in getting these clothes from other people. Look at Dapper Dan, how they stole his designs. Everything we do, they steal it. All right, and we have to reclaim it. Now, it's interesting that Juneteenth is coming up on Monday, but it's a significance about Juneteenth. The proclamation when Frederick Douglass and a group of Black people were tired of, he was in slavery, then he became free. He brought his freedom, okay? Then he brought the freedom for his family, okay? People don't know that. Lincoln didn't free any slaves. It was the slaves who pressured Lincoln that if he did not come up with some type of proclamation, in fact, he didn't know what to do, so they came up with it themselves and they wrote it, okay?
Right.
And they then gave it to him because he was the president at the time, okay? And this was right after the Civil War. The Reconstruction started right after that time of 1865.
Right.
There were Black people who had their own press, okay? Marcus Garvey had 5 independent Black newspapers running at one time. 5.
I get it.
So it's no excuse. It's no excuse anymore. We have to get out of the mentality that we can't be complacent anymore. Okay, we just can't sit around and wait for other people to determine our future. We have to be in charge and determine our own future. We have to do it for ourselves as well as for our future generation, because it's about generational wealth. Okay. Right. And you don't have to wait to die to get what you need. We need it now.
Exactly.
And we have to have reparations now. Again, Juneteenth is being commercialized all over, but it's significant. It should be a time of reflection for our people. We should be imagining how it was for our people not to know that the laws was passed to end slavery, but they didn't know in Texas. Okay, they didn't know many other places as well. And we should be now being appreciative that we don't have the shackles on our feet and our hands, but we do have the shackles on our brain mentally.
Right. But
we have to re-educate ourselves.
The shackles can be broken,
of course,
because they're mental shackles now. And then there's a lot of stubborn, thick-headed shackles that are on people as well. So they're always, okay, so we're in 2023 now. We have, or we should have, if you haven't, you should have studied Marcus Garvey, studied Dr. Ben, studied Francis Cress Welsing, and all the other greats that have the information. It's out there. So now we're in a situation to where we need to put all those things into action on what we learned. So it always seems that the people can't make any moves without a leader. But sorry to say, in these days and times, we're going to have to be our own leaders, because like you mentioned on the last show, we have to learn how to put things in writing. And so when there's somebody giving free events, courses, talks, gatherings, or whatever to talk about doing some of the technical work that we need to do, you guys want to be dancing, partying, drinking, smoking, and all this other crap. But it's time to shut that down, because we have to get started and there's a lot of work to do. So we have these groups out here like the NAACP. Let me just touch on an article that came out a day ago. And the title is NAACP, the Racial Wealth Gap. I guess that's talking about reparations. Now the article, let's see if we have a summary here. The NAACP is warning President Joe Biden that failing to deliver on the Black wealth gap relief, including student debt relief, if the Supreme Court strikes down his forgiveness plans, will be tantamount to breaking his promises of the wealth gap. So this is basically just addressing the wealth gap in education. And groups like the NAACP, which is supposed to be the voice of Black America, they are very targeted in what they choose to go after for the rights. Period. Overall, they should have been working on reparations. Within reparations is student debt loan relief and every other thing that we need. But, you know, everything is being talked about except for the whole of moving forward. You know, for the whole reparations, you know, package. That's what needs to be on the table. But before then, people have to take their own education in their own hands. You pretty much got to do cartwheels and all kinds of stuff. And they don't want to invest. $20 to $30, $25, $50, $100, whatever it takes is not a great amount when you are learning how to do whatever it is you take the course for. You know, have some researching, because there are people out here willing to just take your money and not give you, you know, what you paid for and give you a bunch of bull crap. But there are people out here that is disseminating the information. They're offering it in a good package, you know, respectful and whatnot. What I'm seeing is people don't want to learn. They're into the songs, working, you know, they're working, but the intellect is where it's being invested is not going to give you much in return, because you have to invest in your knowledge, family. Learning laws. If we were to come on here and do a show about your constitutional laws as an African American here in America, how many viewers would we have? You know, would the chat be jumping live as if we were talking about Boosie being locked up in the federal prison because they think that somebody said something about somebody else got him locked up? Those chats and everything is jumping.
But where's the chat for our survival? Where's the chat for our economic survival? Where's the chat for generational wealth? Right. Where's the chat for 20 acres and a mule, some land? Because that's what we need, you know, and we need to learn how to hold on to it. And I want to say kudos to Tyler Perry. He just brought 2 broadcasting stations, Black owned. I think it's VH1. Wait, I think it's VH1 and another one. I don't know if is it BET?
They were trying to get BET. Him and Puff Daddy were trying to buy BET.
I think it's BET that he brought. Is now Black owned again.
Wow.
As VHS1.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, kudos. And more actors and Black actresses need to be buying up some of these media bases. Oh, Stevie Wonder owns his own radio station as well. But we need more. We have to get into...
They said it's completely unubstantiated as of today, so the deal has not been, you know...
I read that it went through this week. I read it. It was documented in New York Times. I read it
10 hours ago.
I read it this week.
Yeah, so, but it's not. But we had to
still has to do some
check, and not yet. It's not yet. No, he doesn't own it yet. He might be trying, but not as of yet.
Well, let's say he has the ball rolling. And then I'm sure he's going to have to sign off on a lot of paperwork because they don't want to really give it up. But it's in the fires. It's out there. It's in the universe. And he has his lawyers. What I understood, that the lawyers were finalizing the deal. That's what I understood.
Let's just read the article. It's right here.
Okay.
It says, congratulations. pour in for Tyler Perry over historic BET VH1 purchase, but did it actually happen?
Well, it said purchase.
Let me read the article.
Where's the source? What is the source? Like what paper or
Fox
whatever?
News. Fox
Okay.
News Atlanta.
Okay.
Right? So it says congratulations are pouring in for Tyler Perry, making him the first African American to own 2 major television networks, except no one knows if it's actually true. Many celebrities and social media influencers and blogs have taken a since deleted article making the bold claim on Monday and have run with it throughout the week. So it's not true yet.
No, but the thing is, Fox News is very biased. I read it with the New York Times, and people need to go and Google the different articles and surmise as to, is it actually factual or not? And it's in the universe, so let's go with it. When you put it out there, it comes to fruition. Okay.
Not gonna work. On here, we got to have the truth.
He definitely has the money. Okay.
Oh yeah, and that's not the point.
He has the money. He owns his own jets and planes and everything, and that's a good look, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely a good look in the right direction.
He definitely has it in the workings, and when it's real, I'm pretty sure he will do something. And he
owns his own studio complex out there in Atlanta.
Yeah,
where a lot of shows are taking part, from his studios. And I understand there are some other Black owners of studios as well. He's not the only one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got entertainment sold up. We can buy studios and all this other stuff, but the average person is not in the acting industry or anything like that. What Tyler Perry could probably think about is actually creating a university or creating our first like an Apple corporation. Not Apple, but something like it, like a technology industry. Or he could go into some sort of something else that actually benefits a whole of people. I understand he's in his lane, but if the people of the world that wanted to save the water was only thinking about themselves, he could have all the money in the world and not get clean water. So the thing is, as Black people, we have to stop thinking compartmentalized.
Well, maybe we could write
environmental stuff first.
Maybe we could write a proposal and give it to him.
A chain of grocery stores? I could definitely do that.
Yeah, well, maybe we could write a proposal and give it to him. Okay.
Yeah, I think that we could or should.
Right. I wanted to mention also.
But the fact of the matter is, these people that have all this money don't need me to give them that idea. They're not interested in that. They're interested in what you're doing in their lane. But with that thinking, we're gonna get nowhere. If every NFL player that got millions of dollars only thought about making NBA programs or whatever, or NFL programs, that does not feed the people.
Well,
we're having a food problem. Why wouldn't they think about creating a chain of grocery stores or
for the same
Black farmers or something like that?
Again, you said something about leaders. Mm-hmm. They're entertainers. Okay, they're entertainers. They are not thinking as the whole. Remember back in the 60s, it was the Panthers who came up with the idea of feeding people. And as a result now, it's a federal program that all children have to have food, breakfast now, lunch. The Panthers started the first breakfast programs, and then the lunch programs, and the dinner programs. So now it's a part of the school system. That was one of the demands that the Panthers put on the table to the administrators, the president, and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. So now, as a result, you have the breakfast program, you have the lunch program, you have medical programs, community medical programs. Okay. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if we don't demand what we want from any and everybody, because it's that serious, then we're not going to get anything. So it's you and me and other people who have like minds who have to put stuff in writing and demand it, okay? Unless we're not going to get anything. A closed mouth does not get fed, okay? Every group in America is putting stuff in writing and making demands. You wonder how the gay people get so much, because they have their
support and resources. People
they have
are
their
giving
gay
them
legislators who are writing policy for gay people, okay? And they wrote it perfectly for President Obama, who passed the gay marriage, okay?
We need some policy writers. Where are they? All policy writers, come forth. We got to start writing some policies.
Put your email in the chat.
Yes.
Put your email
23. It would be houseoftanya23@gmail.com. Any proposal writers. I had this entire stack, or this book about this thick, that said all of these government grants and this and that you could get. Well, they have grants for every single thing. But when you go through the process of grant writing, because I have been part of a team that writes grants, an entire team, it's no small thing to write a proposal or a grant for a series.
I have been involved in community organizations and nonprofit organizations, basically get their funding from grants and writing proposals. So I know firsthand about proposals and have written them, and we had to hand deliver them, because in those days it was no emails or anything. But now it's easier, because once you write that proposal, you could just email it in, or if you want to, I prefer still to hand deliver it, and get it signed off that the people who are providing the funding received it on this date, and it was hand delivered, and they signed.
You have to have a class. Like the average person, they might be learned in, good in English skills or whatever, but the particular requirements and different things that you have to have included, needs to be learned.
We can get all of that together. We need the people who are good in English, the people who are good at making proposals, the people who are good with editing skills, who could type, who could do stenography, everything. We need all of that and above. And I want to give my email. It's N as in never again. N zebra, ING as in gorgeous, we trust @gmail.com. If you put your information in the chat, we'll surely get it if you're interested. And only the interested and the serious will roll with us, okay? Don't apply if you're trying to get a date, because you're not going to get a date, okay? That's the bottom line.
Definitely off the market.
Right, that's the bottom line.
The thing is,
want to roll with us?
But what would you say would be an amount of people? What's the least amount of people we could have to create a reparations proposal?
Well, there are reparation proposals in place out in California. They're about to get theirs passed in California, because that's how serious their black law officials were about it. In New York City, it's a senator and a councilman, Charles Barron, who passed a bill, who's trying to get a bill passed on reparations. Okay, so many different states have already in existence a reparations policy, and I'm talking about money.
Okay.
Out. Okay.
I got a question.
That's another thing. I'm not talking about in-kind services Oh, you could give us Juneteenth. You could give us Martin Luther King Jr. holiday and a postage stamp with Malcolm X and Maya Angelou and different black people on it. No, we need some money. We have to get money,
And
okay?
land. And
And
land.
land and land and land and
Because we don't
land.
want to take our money and have to buy land with it. It's
right,
separate clause. Yeah.
Free the land. Free the land because we
Free the
need
land. And give us our resources so we can, you know, do
plant
something
our own
with the land.
food, build our own houses, and have some credibility as black people.
Well, the thing is, it's like once that happens, no one's going to be trying to pay rent to these landlords. So that's going to be a hit because people are finally going to have their own situation. You know what I'm saying? So there are many roadblocks that would try to find a way out of it. But if the Constitution is still the Constitution, it's written in there and it's not much to talk about. What they need to do is start getting their calculators out and start figuring up some figures. They have analytics for everything else. Okay, we have been what you call that survey that comes out? Statistical survey up the wazoo. No more what do you call that? Where they get the money for the school district. It's a survey that everybody gets.
Oh yeah, the federal government gives it out.
Yeah, a certain word for it. Here, I'll tell you in a minute.
Siri, what is the term?
Exactly. No need in asking the
it's from 19 it was one of those acts that was
census. Yeah, census.
The census.
No more censuses, dang it. You have all the information about us that you need. You don't need to go figuring out anything, so we're not going to accept that. Well, maybe this is, you never know, maybe this is a charge for someone like me and you because we know our rights up the wazoo. And you're not going to be able to shadow government yourself out of the situation. We know what we're supposed to have and what we need. All we need are the figures and the calculations now. But in the meantime, when the people get the money, if their education and consciousness is not in the right place, they're going to turn around and do the wrong thing with it. That we don't want to see happen. So I'm not saying that everybody's...
That's why we're going to have people...
cut.
That's where we're going to have people who are economic advisors.
Exactly.
Just like banks have financial advisors, we're going to have economic advisors.
Just like when people need a payee for their retirement check or whatever it is, some people are going to need payees because, see, we're not playing no games.
Of course.
Ignorant people of finances are not going to mess it up for the rest of us. So there will be a system put in place that, you know, you have to follow because the money will not be funneled in the wrong manner.
Well, you know what? The whole idea is let's get the money. Let's not let them bamboozle us.
Exactly.
Let's not let them coon us.
Exactly.
Technology.
A couple dollars.
Will set us back even further. We're not going to be with them like some of our organizations are and some of our politicians are. Those days are done with. Okay, we have to put those demands clearly on the table because we refuse to become extinct and we refuse to be obsolete here in America that our ancestors and that we continue to build up. Okay.
Yeah. And we have to come to some agreement before all that. We have to come to some agreement about this housing thing. They trying to act like every day is going by and it's not being taken care of across the country. This is not, it's just, it shouldn't be tolerable, and the people should have took a stand on this by now. Just because you are a landowner and a homeowner does not give you the right to charge unacceptable rents and securities. Okay,
it's all of the
something
plan
needs to be done. Federal regulations, you know,
again, rewritten. The laws need to be adjusted and rewritten again because everything that we fought for in the 50s and the 60s have signed off, and now we have to fight for it again and remind people again that these laws you're going to follow, the same laws that you made them.
Exactly.
Okay? We demanded it, and you made these laws, and we are not going to tolerate anything else. We're going to contradict them on their own laws.
That's
which
right.
is very important.
It's already done. When they put the 40 acres and the mule in there, okay, and then they tried to put the clause about 3/5 of a person. I always used to say, I don't understand for the past, well, it's been on my mind for about 10 years now, why when politicians address any situation about Black America, how come they never start with getting this Constitution situation together?
Exactly.
Those two things got to go.
Right. That's the first thing. Get rid of that 3/5 of a person.
Yeah.
That was used during slavery, right after the Civil War, because the slaves that were free, then if they were caught, okay, because they didn't have the right to vote, okay, and then they came up with that rule, okay, that slaves are considered, because they were owned by Europeans, and some of them were presidents as well, that they were considered 3/5 of a man, and that they didn't have a full vote. Okay, that's where that whole concept came from. So we are not 3/5 of a man. We are whole people.
That's right. And I don't understand with all of our, civil rights movements. Do you remember any push particularly to have that changed, or why has it not been addressed?
Well, there definitely were. The Panthers one was a movement that wanted to change. Marcus Garvey wanted to change. A lot of organizations wanted it changed, but they didn't change it because they have to make an amendment to the Constitution. But
that's the thing. No Black man in America should have joined their military or any of that stuff until those things would change. But see, people they take their personal needs, and it has nothing to do with the collective. We have to learn how to think collectively. There has been a lot of things that have been pushed over on our people that could have and should have been taken care of right then and there.
Right. We have to go back to
on site.
Well, this is why it's important that we study our traditional African way of life, because we came from a communal society where we thought collectively. I mean, I'm just going to say it, that the invasion of the Europeans led to our destruction, because they came with guns in one hand and the Bible in the other hand. Mm-hmm. And we already had our own religions and our own, I want to say spiritualism, okay? We already have spiritualism in place all over Africa, okay? And we definitely didn't need to give up our traditional way of life and then take on their European way of life, okay, with Christianity and whatnot. But we still found a way to have our traditional African way of life, despite them whooping us and everything else. We had to practice our beliefs, because how else would we have survived? And until today, we're still practicing our beliefs. Believe it or not, of course, we are, because they can't figure out, after beating us, after cutting babies out of us, after setting us on fire and letting trains roll all over us, castrating our men, and
very abominable thing that a mind could even think
of, that
creating
demonic
torture machines and whatnot. The point of the matter is, we don't have to prove our plight with them. That's not the point. The point is, if you were born in this part, born in America, you and your family are owed reparations.
Reparations.
Now, for those that did not experience any kind of slavery and y'all are Aboriginal, because I'm gonna go by my DNA results. I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. I have African in my DNA, whether I'm considered Aboriginal or whatever. The DNA, it tells the story. So, as far as I'm concerned, my particular people came from Africa over here, okay? And so, those of y'all that family heritage did not go through slavery, then you're Aboriginal. Then your fight is about land, not the same reparations. Y'all don't want reparations. Y'all want your land rights, whatever land y'all was on. You see? So we also
get the reparations
because that's a separation within our group, because there's a lot of us that say they families never experienced slavery, so then y'all won't be applying for reparations.
Definitely.
And
let's get our reparations.
It is, and remember that, because it definitely to be a check and point system, you see, to make sure that it goes down that way, because we want everybody to be happy. Y'all said y'all didn't want no type of reparations. You don't want nobody's help in this and that. Or, that's one viewpoint. Or, and this I agree with, we continue to work. When we get reparations, we receive reparations. That doesn't mean we sit on our asses and wait for reparations.
Of course.
But those of us that say they do not want reparations and your families didn't go through slavery, there's gonna be a checkpoint system to make sure that you get your wishes. Just remember that.
And spiritually, there's going to be a checkpoint as well, because there's karma. So people better be very careful what they say out their mouth. But what I don't want to see is that reparations checks will be written, and then everybody and their mama then going to claim the DNA. Suddenly, they are the descendants of slavery. No, it ain't going to work like that.
Birth certificate.
If you're from Britain, get your reparations from the British.
From Great Britain. Oh yeah, that's
right.
That's a no-brainer.
If you're from the Caribbean, get your reparations from Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
And all of them. Okay.
Absolutely, and that's fair. That's fair.
If you're from Africa directly, as you say, then get your reparations from
Africa. Wherever country, your home country, that's where you get your reparations from.
Exactly.
That's cut and dried. That makes that argument done and over with.
Exactly.
We're making headway already, Auntie. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's move it on.
Right off the to-do list.
Let's move it.
Aboriginal. Yeah, because this is all gonna come back. It's gonna come back to the table, right? And we making note, because we starting to build our requirements and this and that. Yes. And the language will be totally in legalese. Do not eat that, because I'm from the Bronx and my auntie is from New York City, that we don't know the education to actually get this done, because you would be wrong.
Exactly. Now let's move it right along. Understand that I don't think that a lot of people know about this, but in Texas, there are certain parts of Texas right now where the governor is giving reparations in housing in certain areas in Texas, that they had a Black Wall Street over there, and the area, of course, was decimated and taken from Black people, or they own homes that need to be renovated and brought up to par. Some even have to get plumbing in their housing and everything, you know? So some of these areas already in Texas, there's money available from the government where you could get money to fix up your properties and to own properties as well. Remember, in California, it was a beach that a Black family originally owned, and then the Europeans took it over, and that family proved that their family coming out of slavery. They were sharecroppers. They owned that property. So
Mm.
they took it to court and everything. For years and years, they fought it, and eventually now they have their beach back, and it's their property.
Yeah.
And that's Black Power.
But they had to keep fighting for it. Had to keep
Exactly.
doing
They have
that
to keep fighting.
paperwork. They had to keep, and they had to pay that lawyer. They first had to have a good lawyer. So
Right.
this is, you brought up the one point about how within the reparations package proposal, there needs to be laws within that, or amendments. No, they actually need to be laws about the protection of the property. You're not going
Right.
to come and do another Black Wall Street. You're not going to come in and do another Tulsa and all this other crap. That needs to be built in, because if so, then that's going to be another problem, and we need to figure that out. You know, no more retaliations on our empires and whatnot.
And for that, we have to have our own. We have to have intact our own Black legionnaires and our own Black army.
Right.
Because this is so serious. You know, we have to defend our land and our property. One of the duties of a Black Panther is to defend all property that is in view sight, and that is a part. I forgot all the particulars, but that is in view sight, and that is a part of our Black community. We have to protect it and respect it and defend it. Okay?
Even though these laws are already established, we know they don't apply to us, because it is against the law to go and destroy somebody's property, whatnot. You know, and the way how they did it in a warlike manner, and it was just outright, you know, mass murder. That's what happened.
Exactly.
You know? And in reparations, in the package, it will be admitted to the atrocities that happened. This is not just a deal to shut anybody up. It's also an admission, once and for all, on record, you know, just like all the other groups got the admission into history.
Right.
You know?
Like the in Germany, the Jews got their reparations. Japan got reparations from America as well.
Absolutely.
For the atom bombs in Hiroshima and everything. So there were groups that were paid out reparations. The Indians, they have a large land mass through reservations. They could go to school free.
Let's just share a current article that came out for the Native Americans. This is for the U.S. News. Native American tribes, okay, which includes a lot of us. Native American tribes hail major victory after Supreme Court ruling upholding protections for Native American children against removal for adoption.
Right.
So apparently they were removing them from their families and putting them up for adoption. Like, what gave them the right? Native Americans
Does that not sound familiar with current situations that's happening with Black youth, Black children who are being taken away from their parents,
and
put in foster care? Okay.
A lot of children are lost as well in the foster care system.
Exactly.
Which
as
is
well as
crazy.
other things. And we need to have that protection as well.
So the actual thing, the actual victory was in a joint statement. The Cherokee Nation Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. Said Indians. Wait a second. Hold on. That's not bad. Okay, we hope this decision will lay to rest the political attacks aimed at diminishing tribal sovereignty and creating instability throughout Indian law that have persisted for too long. The statement added, by ruling on the side of the children's health and safety, the U.S. Constitution and centuries of precedent the justices have landed on the right side of history for once.
And we could use that same struggle with the Indians, as we said, a lot of us have.
Well, once somebody wins a
But
case and it becomes case law, you can
right,
to use
case studies, definitely. That's definitely something that I have learned about personally in fighting cases as well as going to court with people. You always have to cite victories of cases within your briefings.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like stating your sources when you write in a paper or whatever.
Right. Exactly. So you would say like, you're fighting a case for housing, and then you'll bring up the case of housing in 1964,
Right.
where there was a housing discrimination law, and it would be a name like
So and
Jones,
so versus so and
Jones
so.
versus
Yeah.
Jones versus Goldberg or
Right.
something like that.
And
And
the
Jones
thing
won.
is, you could Google that case law up. So it really isn't, it's just the time to do it. But it is something that is doable, literally.
And you have to bring up cases to prove your own case.
Right.
So, like I said, there's already in existence in each state. Many states are now adopting reparation bills and legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Then those council people and the senators pass those legislation bills, then we have to flood the phones of the other senators and the other council people, the assembly people, and let them know that we want reparation law 5 such to be passed. And would you
In
please
our state.
vote for that law? And we have to flood their phones. We have to send our emails. We have to send our letters out. Just in New
See,
York City.
people have to get involved. That is the
Right.
thing.
Just in New York City alone, I received this week, the deadline was June 8th. It was 3 days to complete this. And June, up to that date, I received it from an organization as of that date in the morning, like about 12 o'clock.
Wow.
And they leave their office at 5 o'clock legally, 9 to 5. Wasn't I on that phone from 1 to 5? Wasn't I emailing? We had to get that law passed. That Charles Barron signed and a senator signed.
I gotta
And
look into whether it's signed in other states, a couple of other states that I'm interested in. But so if it isn't, in order to have it on the ballot, you would write the governor?
you would get a senator, and a congressperson to sponsor the reparation bill. Okay. And then you would get assembly people and council people to sign off on it. People who are of like mind. It might only be 2 people, a senator and a council person. Okay. If they
I
sign
just want to
off
see
on that
where
bill,
certain states' heads
okay.
are at with this.
I'm gonna read something. Let me go on my I need to go on my messages to get the information. Okay, let's take the one that's for New York City that Charles Barron and another gentleman initiated, a senator in New York City. If you give me 1 second, so you continue right now. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we have to continue to have confidence in ourselves and get our communication skills together. It's okay. Like, get a journal, begin to write yourself a letter, but learn how to communicate. Say you were write yourself a letter on why you think you're supposed to have reparations. These are going to be little exercises that when we come to groups, we need to have, you participate with that information, because it begins to build the framework or bodies of the letters. And everybody's opinion, is needed. And of course, you have a person that does the submission. There's pretty much just going to be a group of people that know how to write some proposals and things, or we come together to even talk about the possibility of doing it, but some action needs to happen. Petitions is another way. They're free online. You can go in and create petitions within your counties, and then you have your state government, and you go up from there. That's a way to do it, to be able to circulate it around, and you have a link. So that's another way we could start to try to gather groups of people just to talk about, if we received it, how would we like to see it used, or begin to come up with, plans, regulations, requirements, and it all has to come up to start from thoughts, sharing your thoughts. But we definitely need to start having a couple of meetings around it, even to bring people up to speed on what would they do with a substantial amount of money. As a matter of fact, that might be a good place to start. Mm-hmm.
I'm back now. In New York City, the reparation bill was initiated by Senator Bridgeport, Brisport, in Assembly, the Honorable Assemblyman Charles Barron. Both of them, in this case, are honorable. Mm-hmm. Bridgeport, Brisport, and the Honorable Assemblyman Charles Barron. The reparations bill is S as in Sam, 2, the number 2, 416. S as in Sam, 2416.
And it was passed. So
no, it was not. No, it was not. It's a bill.
Oh,
and we're trying to get it passed. We had to call Albany, other state assembly people, as well as council people. We had to call them.
Do you have a phone number you'd like to share?
Yes. Now the deadline was June 8th.
Oh, it's over with.
So that's over with, but it's going to be continued, and we will keep you up to date on going on with that. See, that's what's going on in New York City.
Right. So if you get communications like that, and it's in a timely manner, let's start to circulate it so that people can know, what they need to do within that state. That's great information. If it's a phone call to call in to state your case, that would be great. That is great. But like I said, it is moving on, and spiritually speaking, it is coming up. It's coming up, definitely. Can't put a time frame on it because a lot needs to happen, but I know people need to begin to get their mindsets ready. Stop with the poverty mindset, because it's not going to be that way forever. And it does depend on you, because you can have money one day and be broke the next. That can happen to anyone. So I think that, some of us that have the skills, we can begin. Let's start to try to educate people. If you had $50,000, what would be the best way that you could utilize it for you and your family? Because a lot can be done with that. As a matter of fact, you could take that and invest it properly. You could be set and create generational wealth just from that.
Exactly. I wanted to bring up also in New York City, it's a brother that's running for a councilman. Mm-hmm. One of the brothers who was a part of the now exonerated Central Park 5, or 7 or 10, because there were a lot of brothers. His name is Brother Yusef Salon, and he's running in Harlem for a council person up in Harlem. Mm-hmm. And he's going to need people's support. Mm-hmm. Okay, you don't even have to live in the city to support him. Wow. All you have to do is Google him. His name is, again, Brother Yusef Salon. He's one of the now exonerated Central Park 5. You all saw the movie When They See Us, which was about the Central Park 5 case. Okay, so
that's great. He's a councilman, or he's running for council.
No, he's running for council member.
That's great.
In Harlem.
Same district.
Okay.
I
don't know what district, but you could Google it. But it's in Harlem. A seat is available, and he's running for that seat. Okay.
Yes.
And he was one of the Central Park 5 that was exonerated.
Yes.
So he would be able to speak out for the youth who are illegally put in prison, who are profiled like they were, and just being Black walking through
Just be abusing the
America.
abuse of the system, because they knew they was just getting 5 faces. They didn't care. So yeah.
Right now, also, I have to make this point because I was out in those trenches working on behalf of these brothers. And at the time, in 1989, I was a school teacher. And in 1989, when this occurred, number 45, the President Donald Trump, who is running again, he put a full-page ad in the New York Times declaring war against these young men and helping to bring the charges against them, and said that they should be, he said some terrible things in his article, but basically he became the judge, the jury, and the executor. And this was a part of the victimization of these young men that made them spend time unjustly in jail. So this is why I want everybody to know, Black people, white people, everyone. Trump, number 45, has his hands dirty in this case of criminalizing young Black men like the now exonerated 5, okay, and other Black men. Don't be fooled by him, okay? Do not be fooled by him, all right? He never apologized for that. He never rescinded his statement. And we were out in those trenches trying to get these men off, okay? These young Black men whose lives were destroyed, okay? That Trump is very dangerous to our future generation. And do not take that for granted, okay? He's no friend of ours at all. To have the gall and the undecency and the evilness to write off these young men and never once apologize and then get elected as the president of the United States, it's just terrible, and never apologize, okay? Please, people, do not be fooled by Trump or any of the rest of them, but especially by Trump, since he's running again, and that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yes, karma knows, you know. So
because I'm gonna bring receipts
in the dark shall come to the light.
When I talk, I have my proof and I have my receipts, and I'm not biting my tongue.
Right. Neither should anyone. You know, your opinion is all you have, basically. So you have to defend it. And what I was trying to state.
That's how I roll.
Huh?
That's how I roll with evidence. I roll with evidence and the documentation and the receipts. Okay, that's how I roll. Okay,
right.
And I'm just putting it out there because it ain't no. I'm very clear on Trump and have been all my life. Trump and Biden's and all of them. Okay, sometimes we choose and pick who we're going to vote for because we have a right to vote, and like Malcolm said, excuse me, through any means necessary, through the ballot or the bullet. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
so as
far as I'm concerned, nobody is worthy. None of them at all.
None of them are worthy.
Nobody on the ballot they vote for.
Nobody is worthy, but we have to do what we have to do. We have to pick our fight. And
well, basically,
it's the battle. It's the ballot or the bullets.
Right.
Okay? We don't have our army. I'm
not taking no bullets, and I don't mess with them ballots either. But right. The main concern is I don't care who is in office. Right. This reparation
any means necessary. Any means necessary for us to attain total liberation. Any means necessary. Any means. That's all I have to say.
Yep, that's true. And on that note, I guess there's nothing else to say. But what we need to do is learn how to support one another. You know, right. When somebody is giving a talk or whatever, and you don't know everything there is to know, perhaps we could start investing in some knowledge. because it's going to come up where you're going to need to know how to speak for yourself. You're not always going to have a representative or a leader, you know, but it's up to you to find out what your DNA is for whatever company that you want to go to. Just have that documentation ready so that that doesn't become a question for you, because it may not be written in the policy. It's not up to them to provide you with your DNA. It's up to, you know, you to provide them with your DNA. So begin to get things in place. Like if you have a criminal record, stop damn committing crimes. It's time for you to get, you know, your ducks in a row. You know, establish yourself. Stop with the mentality, you don't need no ID and you don't walk with ID. Get your ID. Get your paperwork together. You know, those of you out there that need to get your driver's license, get your driver's license. You know, have these forms of ID, even passports. Let's begin to move into passports. You know, that should be something that we all have. I'm you know, talking to myself. I'm in the process of getting the $225 fee to get it. If that was the case, I would have been had my passport. But, you know, first things first right now. We got to pay the electric bill before we get the passport. See what I'm saying? That's why we need to get this reparations things rolling, okay? Eventually, we're all going to have free energy, but until then, I'm gonna need my resources. And if we was to get free energy and free water and all this technology or whatever, it has nothing to do with, you still need to pay reparations. So ain't nothing gonna get this country out of that.
Exactly.
So if that's by any means necessary, I guess it is what it is. And on that note, you've had the Tonya 23 experience with Queen Nzinga Alston. And we will be back with some more talk about this AfroSphere and decoding this crazy matrix. But we're going to make it through. We're going to make it through together. But sometimes we're going to have some hard statements. It's going to seem like we're yelling at y'all, and we probably are. But it's because you need to wake up, and it's all in love. So on that note, everyone have a good night. Until the next time. Peace from the Tonya 23 experience. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I'll talk to you on a sidebar.
Definitely.
Peace and love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Signing out.
Thank you.